Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games, Patrick. Patrick? The Spotlight Games,
Patrick?
Welcome to the Spotlight Games, Cayman. I'm your podcast, Patrick, and joining me as always is my host, my sweet dumpster trash, Cayman Darty. How are you, Cayman?
Oh, I'm doing better now that we fucked that intro up.
Hey, did we though?
Honestly, I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either. Today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be reviewing a bunch of shit. We're going to be talking about a bunch of rumors, some true, some made up, or, we're going to figure all that out together. Cayman, I'm excited. We skipped last week. I was a little under the weather, and I needed a break to heal. I'm about 80% today. I'm on my way back. Still weirdly a little not congesty, a little drainy. But hey, I'm here. I don't want to die.
Fair.
And I'm ready to talk about video games.
Normally I would say when you say I don't want to die, I'd be like, good. But honestly, at this point, I mean, does it even matter?
Does it even matter?
Does it even matter?
On today's podcast, we're going to ask the question, does it even matter?
Does it even matter? Patrick, I'm doing good, Patrick. We've made some progress on the theater, my in-home theater finally. Yep. I'm really excited about that because I feel like, we've gotten so much done around the house and like it's really coming together. But now, like, seeing like the one thing that I'm like the most excited about, like moving in, is like having my own place to just watch trash cinema films.
Oh yeah, come on, brother.
And be finally getting to a point where I feel like we are inching closer and closer and closer to that reality, Patrick. And I'm like, hey, it's a wild feeling to be like, I'm a homeowner and I can paint an entire room black.
Yeah.
And I can do whatever the fuck I want in it. It feels incredible. So I think, Patrick, I'm doing pretty good.
I mean, that room that you just painted black, you're building equity in that black paint. You know what I mean?
This is the thing is I told Sid, I was like, look, if we move anytime soon, which hopefully we won't. My goal is not to be moving anytime soon.
I would hope not.
Yeah, but I'm like, if we do, we have to have this room finished. We can't just leave it the way it is. Like, it has to be finished. And then we have to have staging photos. It can't be like we've moved out and then you're seeing it, because people are going to have questions. Like, why is your basement painted black?
Yeah.
What are you doing down there?
We need to get you like a really fucking weird statue to put down there so that we can get your house on that Instagram account that's like weird Zillow listings.
Oh, Zillow Gone Wild. Yeah.
Zillow Gone Wild. We need to get you on Zillow Gone Wild. That's the new goal.
I think that's the thing is if you go into our house, you're like, man, this house is really hip. It's a really hip looking house. You guys have like an outdoor fire pit area. You've done all of these inside. It looks very nice inside. It looks what like a house probably should look like.
Sure.
Then you go into the basement. The whole thing is black, right? It is just covered in original vintage 70s and 80s trash cinema posters. And, I found out, Patrick, actually, I asked Sydney, I said, can I have this? Can I get this? And she said, if you want to waste your money on it, whatever. At Lowe's right now, you can buy a 6'6" replica prop animatronic of Jason Voorhees.
Lowe's and Home Depot have the weirdest fucking shit around Halloween.
So I really think that that's what's going to happen is like, it would be one of those where it's like, look at this house. This house is so normal. This is a normal person's house. Pretty hip, normal person. You go into the basement. They're like, what did you fucking do down here?
Yeah. It's not a sex dungeon. It's a trash dungeon.
It is a trash dungeon.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the theater should be called. The trash dungeon.
The trash dungeon. I kind of feel like your house should be like the Trash Cinema Ranch. We need to come up with like a nice little pithy name.
We actually, so that's the whole thing right up here. In like this kind of area where our town that we live in is, well, like not really necessarily our town specifically, but this area, the county we live in is like a vacation destination for a lot of people. A lot of rich people just have vacation homes up here.
Yeah.
Because we're right next to Lake Raven, right next to Lake Burton. We're technically in Lakemont. It's just a lot of lakes on a mountain. Beautiful vistas. Beautiful up here, right? Everyone, if you get an Airbnb or anything, they all have a name for it, right? So it's like Phillips Lodge or like Black Bear Cove or whatever. So we've come up with ours, and you get a little sign, like a placard you put above the door. That's kind of the thing you do, right? We're going with Black Phillips Lodge.
Phillips Lodge.
We're going Black Phillips Lodge, which is, if you know, you know, it is a reference to Robert Eggers' The Witch. Because they got the Black Phillips, the goat, Satan comes in the form of a goat.
Okay.
I'm just saying, man, we're really leaning into this.
Good.
People shouldn't come here.
Good. You should. And they shouldn't.
They should not.
Yeah. I've not seen the Vavitch.
You should.
But I should. And you know, it's officially August 1st, which means we're one day closer to Halloween. To the best time of the year, spooky movie season.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if my theater's not done by October 1st, like, we're in deep shit.
We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the podcast taking an indefinite break.
Yeah.
Because we're just gonna, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. we're just gonna be spanking the dumpster boy and the dumpster girl. So watch out. But speaking of, we're here. It's Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We got a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live. Why, Cayman?
So you can be part of the conversation.
Exactly. Cayman, we've been ranting and raving.
Yeah.
We've been singing our song together. I'm ready to talk about what we've been playing, bro. Today, it's going to be a bit of a mix. It's going to be a bit of a mix of what we've been playing and what we've been watching. You might say, watching? This isn't Spotlight Watch.
You just mean Spotlight TV?
Well, I mean, yes,
fair,
but I mean, there's movies too, right?
Fair.
But think about it for a minute. While I review 2 video games, what we could be talking about that would make sense for this podcast came in when we spoke before we went live. We talked about, I was going to review the game Viewfinder.
Yeah,
it's going to be a bit of a review finder.
Oh, brother.
But today, before we went live, I played a short little game called Venba. Have you heard about this game?
I have not. It sounds exciting, though.
Venba is a game that just came out a few days ago, and I believe it's everywhere. For those of you that are watching live or catching us on the old YouTube later, got some B-roll pulled up. Venba is a game unlike any that I've ever played. And I had a great time. It's like an hour and a half tops to get through the whole thing. But it tells the story of a family that immigrated from India to Canada. And it's just like a story about what it's like to be in a country that you barely speak the language. And like, it tells the story through food. And the kind of the main premise, the main character, Venba is her name. She is the mother of this family, and she has a cookbook from her mother back home.
Okay.
And in the cookbook, there's a lot of things missing. There's like things that have been like ripped out, or oil that got overword. So you don't really, like, sometimes you have to kind of figure out what to do with the recipes. And it like goes into like memories, and it has this like kind of experimentation aspect of it. But it's like, I don't know. It was really lovely. I learned a lot about this like experience and this like specific culture of the people of Tamil, I believe it's how it's pronounced. And I loved it. $15 on PlayStation, probably $15 everywhere. Also on Game Pass. I believe it's on Switch, PC. I actually don't know about mobile, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's on mobile.
Cool.
Really lovely game. Highly recommend if you are interested in just like a nice, touching story about this family. Really low stakes. Cayman, I'm going to get your attention on this one.
Hit me.
Easy platinum.
Oh, brother, you're talking my language now, dog.
Already got the platinum for Venba.
No way. Where are you up to? Do you know now?
I meant to look and then I forgot to. I want to say I'm in the 30s.
Okay.
But
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna pull it up on my old handy dandy PlayStation app while we chat here. But have I sold you on Venba, Cayman?
I think you have. I think I could really go for it because I think one of the things I'm struggling with right now is between working on the house, just my job being absolute chaos constantly. One of the things I'm struggling with is like getting that time to be like, I want to play a game, but I want something so low stakes.
Yeah.
It's not going to like add to my already like insurmountable levels of stress.
Sure.
So that sounds to me like very exciting to have a game that feels that like I can just kind of vibe with. And this
Yeah,
sounds like a game like that.
yeah, it was such a nice experience. And there's some like conversation choices, some dialogue choices, nothing that like changes the game per se, but so like there is like a tiny bit of replay value in that. Like, oh, what did the other conversation do?
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you can get through. So I played the whole game again to get like to do the platinum because the game itself is like if you kind of speed through the dialogue that doesn't branch. And you know how to do the recipes because there's a trophy for not messing up any of the recipes. So that was the one that I needed to get because there was some experimentation happening in my first playthrough. So I had to go through and fix those. But really lovely game. Made me feel things. Taught me about a culture I knew next to nothing about.
I love that.
And honestly, like I could see this end up being in my top 10. Just as like it was just like a lovely experience.
I love
Through
to
and
hear
through.
it.
So definitely recommend Venba for those of you that are interested. And then riding the V train to Viewfinder. This is a game we talked about a few weeks ago. There was a demo that was live on PlayStation, and I'm assuming other places too, but I did it on PlayStation. It's giving Portal. It's giving The Witness. Kind of a puzzle driven, bit of a story driven game, but definitely more so on the puzzle side. But the premise, kind of the main feature, in case you missed that episode or don't know anything about Viewfinder, is you have this camera. It's like a Polaroid type camera, and you can take a picture of any part of the environment, and then you can hold up the picture and press a button, and that whatever is on the picture completely takes over where you're holding it up in the space, which might not sound super clear at first. I'm going to pull up some B-roll as well, but it's very much about like finding the right angles and like figuring out how to kind of break the environment with the pictures that you're taking or the pictures that you find. And it tells a bit of a story too. I was really high on it after the review. I enjoyed the game, but it didn't quite live up to my hype after the demo. I wouldn't go as far as to say this is a must play, but if you are into the puzzle genre, if you watching this B-roll, like if you're interested, I say play it. I in no way would I say this is a bad game. It's a beautiful game, like graphically, it's really delightful to see, and some of the puzzles really kind of fuck with your head in like a fun way. And there were only, I think, 2 times in, let's say, 50 puzzles where I was like, I don't believe there's a solution to this. Let me pull out the phone and do a Google. So it, like The Witness, that was a big hang up for a lot of people. Like that, it was something that I had to do several times with The Witness. Like I am so stuck that I need to look it up. And it only happened a couple times here, which is so like it doesn't make you feel too stupid, essentially. Like the tools it gives you, I feel like it's a nice challenge when you are kind of stuck. And the spaces that you're in are small enough that it's like, okay, there's only so much space here, so the answer has to be within arm's reach. So it kind of sometimes challenged me to like, you know what, put the phone down, turn away from Google, let's figure this out. And so my biggest hang up with it though is it tries to tell a story that just didn't captivate me. It was told in a very kind of indirect, put the pieces together yourself way that it's not that I walked away like I don't understand the story it was telling. I just feel like they didn't have a super strong story to tell. And more so they were sure I understand. Siri, let me tell you. So I'm trying to tell you right now what you don't understand about Viewfinder. It felt like more so to me that they were like, let's make a really cool puzzle game, and maybe got some feedback like, these puzzles are great, but I need more. And they're like, oh, let's throw in a story. That's total conjecture. Like, if someone making this game watches this, maybe that's so offensive to say. Maybe they're like, the whole point was the story. Didn't hit me like I think they wanted it to. And that's, I was a little disappointed in that. Don't think this will crack my top 10 for the year. But like I said, if you're big on puzzles, if you really like Portal and you want something Portal adjacent that's not going to blow your mind like Portal did from top to bottom, I would say play Viewfinder. But if puzzles really piss you off, or they just don't, they're not super fun, like, I don't think this is a Cayman game.
Okay.
I don't think Viewfinder is a Cayman game.
Sure. Then that's fair.
Not that it's hard. I don't think there's enough there for you to want to push through some of the puzzles and be like, this is awesome. I would say play the demo. That's enough, because you get the, like, you have that aha moment of like, wow, I can't believe that they do this. But it just ultimately didn't go a lot past that. Wow, I can't believe they did this feeling, unfortunately.
Sure. I feel
again, not a bad game, but not a must play.
I feel that, Patrick. Can I tell you?
I would love for you to, Cayman.
So, look, here's the thing. I've had the last 2 weekends. I've had my 2 weekends ago, I had my nephews and my youngest niece stay with us. And then last weekend, I had my oldest niece stay with us. And we played a lot of video games. But these are all games that we've talked about before.
Sure.
Like, no one wants to hear me talk about sports, the Switch sports. They don't want to hear me talk about Shredder's Revenge. They don't want me to talk about Lego Star Wars.
Sure.
We've talked about all of that.
Go back to episode 59.
Yeah, brother. Let me tell you about something I watched instead.
Tell me.
I binged through the entirety of the new Twisted Metal show on Peacock over the last 2 days. That's how quickly I burned through
turnaround.
This entire show. Now, here's the thing. This is currently streaming on Peacock right now.
The cock.
10 episodes. Each episode's right about 30 minutes long. Super quick to get through the show. Like, I'm telling you, like, we did it in 2 nights. Just bing, bang, boom.
Oh, for sure. There are James Cameron movies longer than this entire season.
Yeah. So super quick to get through this. I think one of the best ways, the best reviews I've seen was IGN summed it up by saying something along the lines of, this show is so stupid that it works.
Sure.
And I think when you approach something, because I had a lot of reservations going into, like, how the hell do you make a Twisted Metal TV show? A lot of reservations about that. Is the thing is, you have to lean into the absurdity of what Twisted Metal is. And I think what Twisted Metal does so well is that it is so fucking stupid.
It's so dumb,
but so much fun. And I have some things that I think didn't work for me personally, but I think actually elevate the show up even more. And that is the fact that, like, if you are going into a Twisted Metal anything and you know anything about Twisted Metal, you're expecting crazy cars blowing shit up all over each other.
Yeah.
And you get that. But the way that they do it is they break it up. A lot of these big set piece moments of these huge cars. So like the first episode, you're going to get like almost exclusively all car stuff.
Right.
And then they sprinkle more of it through to keep like those like action focused people that are like here for it. They sprinkle those moments in to like keep that driving forward. But they also sprinkle in a lot of like actual human stories, which I thought were it was very interesting to me that they kind of went that approach. I appreciated it because what happened was by the time we got to the end, Sydney was not sold when we started it. But by the end, Sydney was like, I actually been really enjoying this because I actually really enjoy these characters. And there's some just really great moments, like really great character moments, especially like one of my personal favorite is like the story arc of Sweet Tooth through the whole show. I wish there was more Sweet Tooth, to be honest, but I think it could be a bit much if he's just there constantly.
Sure.
So having him be like every moment he reappears and when they start like picking his story up more are just, it's so fucking hilarious. Like it is so funny. He is great. He's played physically by Samoa Joe, pro wrestler, which dad, huge wrestler back in the 90s. Love the old Samoa Joe. And he's voiced though by Will Arnett, and which is really funny to me. And I think it really works because Will Arnett's like just perfect as a psychopath. And he's a huge mountain of a dude, psychopath voice, fits perfectly. But I think the reason that like this is going to catch people who watch this show that don't know anything about Twisted Metal is going to be the moments between Anthony Mackie's character and Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, whose name I can't remember.
Stephanie Beatrice.
Why is it Brittany? Stephanie Beatrice and Anthony Mackie. I think the two of them have really good chemistry together. And as the season progresses, like the two of them, like you really get to like you get invested in their personal character arcs and like their story. The big season finale is fucking amazing. And I think the big thing, and this is where I think things don't go sideways for me, but like end up in a situation where I get very nervous is like this season sets up like something incredible.
Really?
And I don't know if we're ever going to get it.
Yeah.
Because timing right now.
And also, are people going to watch it?
Yeah. And that's, I think the thing is like, if you got Peacock, like I implore you to watch it, get a trial and watch it. I think if you're a video game fan, you're not going to get a lot of the car stuff. You're going to get enough of it to keep you satiated. But if you're a fan of Twisted Metal, this show is littered with Easter eggs. Every single episode, there's a moment that I was like, Sydney, because I like love Twisted Metal as a kid. And I was like, and I'm like, oh, this is this game. And Sydney's like, shut the fuck up, Cayman. I do not care. Like, I do not want you to explain the history and lore of Twisted Metal to me.
Yeah.
But like when you get there and you like that big season finale and it sets up like this huge moment, you're like, okay, season 2 is where this show is going to like absolutely go off rails in the best possible way. And I worry that they're not going to renew it for another season.
Well, I will say step 1, they already passed with flying colors, which is the reviews are mostly positive. And that was, when we were kind of talking about this on the show, very first time it came out with the trailer, we were like, and then we kind of saw more and we were like, and then by the end it was like, you know what, we're both in.
Yeah,
let's see what happens. And so as long as the viewers are there, which honestly it seems like they are, but it's hard to really tell. See, I've seen 5 episodes, and I will say, as someone who never really played Twisted Metal, I played some at friends' houses, but like not having a PlayStation as a kid, I really missed out on like the lore of these characters. Like, not that there's like a ton of it, obviously, but like I know Sweet Tooth, I know the cop. I recognize in one of the episodes there's like a girl in like an F1 car. Like I recognize the F1 car. Like there were, and like so there have been ones that I've recognized, but as a whole, most every reference I'm not getting.
Sure.
And I feel like I'm missing out a little bit on that. Like I do wish, it feels like there's a piece missing at times for me because of that. But I do think that they're doing a good enough job of not requiring you to know any of this.
Oh no, 100%.
To still enjoy the show.
Yeah.
So that's good too.
Yeah, it's all fan. Like I think that's why the show like hit for Sydney and I, is because for me, as someone who grew up playing Twisted Metal and really just enjoyed that whole like car combat shtick it had, the lore of Twisted Metal, it shockingly runs deep. And if you play the games, you like grew up on them, like these Easter eggs work for you. But someone like Sydney, who knows absolutely nothing about it, she was like, oh, I just really enjoyed the fact that like I like these characters. Like Sweet Tooth's really funny, and him and Stu, when those two get together, it's really, really funny. And just like it has a lot of weird elements to it that shouldn't work, but it does. And so I think it really can. Like I think it will. I think the one audience that's going to miss out that's going to be probably not as in tune are the ones that went into it expecting like, I know nothing about the show. I don't really or I know nothing about the lore. I don't really care too much about these characters or the human part of this. I just want to see cars explode. Sure. And I think they, towards the middle of the show, might get a little bit like, okay, I want to see more.
100%.
It's super over the top gory. And there's some funny, like there's genuinely a couple moments, especially towards the end of the show, the end of the season. There's a couple moments. There's one scene in particular that was like, this is The Boys. Like it's like Peacock. There's like one scene in particular. I was like, this is Peacock's The Boys right now. Yeah. And I laughed so hard watching it. And so for me right now, my big thing is like, I just like definitely just go watch it. Just go watch it. Give it a shot. See what you think. And look, if you make it a couple episodes in, they're so short and you're like, it's not for me. Totally okay. Yeah. Like give it a shot. You might find that you actually turn out to like really enjoy it. And yeah, I think right now for me, really thought I had a really good time with it. I think it's did everything I wanted it to. Maybe a little bit things I wanted a little bit more of, maybe a little less of the other. But ultimately, I think my biggest worry is it's just we're not going to get another season.
Sure. Honestly, my biggest takeaway, and again, I've only seen half of it, but my biggest takeaway is the team on the TV and film side of PlayStation Studios is doing such a good job adapting their games. Because I feel like this is the right kind of adaptation for a game like Twisted Metal, just like The Last of Us was the right kind of adaptation for that game. Gives me like hope that the Gran Turismo movie can actually be decent. I mean, the trailers make it look like an enjoyable enough movie. Like it's not one that I'm going to be seeing in theaters, but they obviously didn't do great with Uncharted, but I think there was a lot of, I mean, it was one of their first things that they did, if not the first major thing that they did as the PlayStation Studios arm. And we already know that they're, strike withstanding, doing the Horizon show. We got a War show. Like they've obviously started investing a fuck ton of money into TV and film with their IP. And like, I'm just really impressed that this show could have been so embarrassingly bad.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
That's a win enough for
it. 100% could be the Halo show.
It absolutely could have been the Halo show, which is absolute dog shit.
Can we just say, Patrick, I think video game adaptations are currently having a renaissance.
I mean, it is a golden age.
Sonic, Mortal Kombat did it incredibly well, and they've actually got some huge names attached to the sequel that they're well, maybe not anymore. I don't know how far into filming they got. Mario movie did incredibly well.
It was
The
really
Last
good.
of Us, this show did really well. Like, sky's the limit right now, dude.
Yeah. And that only does good things for video games because it brings more people into the sphere to buy consoles, buy games, make the market do good things. So yeah, check it out. And let us know what you think. Man, spotlightgames.net or DM us on our socials.